to the Dan Show, starring Dan Whalen.
Hey guys, welcome back to my show where we talk about all things movies, TV shows, and cigars. I'll tell you what, I got a few of these the other day, and these are the blackened M81 cigars. I'll have a picture on the screen for you of what they look like. My God, so I just did a top 5 2025 cigar review. I want to say about a month ago, and it was describing my new top 5 cheapest cigars, under $10. You know what? For the one I'm going to do, expect this one to probably be on that list because this is really, whew, yeah, this is a really good cigar. But that's not what this video is about today, So I hope you've got to have a cigar while you're watching this, enjoy, just kick back and relax. It's a Tuesday, beautiful day, It's finally cool here in Florida, at least getting cooler. But today, we're going to be talking about a show that I absolutely loved. It was so I watched this show, I want to say last year. Me and my buddy, we binged it together, and this year's just been hectic, but I can't believe I haven't made a video on this show yet. Today we are going to be talking about The Sopranos. Now, before we get started, if you could please like and subscribe to my YouTube channel, it definitely helps me out. Stay tuned for more videos. Now, this show, I'm talking from start to finish, was just a big old chaotic nightmare. And it's not that the show itself was a nightmare. The show was awesome. The show was incredible, but the storyline going on in the show was insane. So we have Tony Soprano. We have his disheveled family. I mean, they're all a mess. Every single character in this show has their own quirky little problem. And I think that's kind of what made the show good. Not a single member, not a single character in this show is just good. They all have something wrong with them. Like I think deeply have something wrong with them. So Tony Soprano, he's a mafia, gangster. He's like the leader of the gang. The Sopranos. The Sopranos is not the name of the gang. That's just his last name. But like it's kind of more describing his family and the gang that's involved with his family. But my God, like this show was nuts. So Tony Soprano is kind of like a sociopathic guy. Like he does literally whatever he wants. I mean, he's a criminal. He does drug deals, gang deals, everything like that. He cheats on his wife probably every episode in this show. And I don't even think I'm over exaggerating that. I'm pretty sure he cheated on his wife every episode in this show. And so, they're a gang out of New Jersey, and like a lot of what the show is his gang just kind of going to like these local small businesses and just collecting their money. And when they don't have it, that's when problems arise. But then a lot of problems are happening within the family as well. There's a lot of betrayal, a lot of, new members, old members, a lot of just like kind of take them out type stuff, like gang mafia type things. But, it's all business. It's always going to be all business. But I like this show a lot. Like I said, it's been a while, so I'm kind of gonna, for this video, I'm just gonna gather exactly kind of like as much as I can remember from the show. I wish I watched it again before making this video, but I feel like it's still semi-fresh in my head when I describe this show to you. This show was great. It was so good. Like I said, if you want like a classic mafia drama type show, I would even compare this to kind of Peaky Blinders. I still don't think this show was better than Peaky Blinders, but like I would have to say they are literally on the same plane, same level, everything like that. This show was great. It was such a good show. So Tony Soprano, he is the center of all of this. Like he is literally the main character of the show. And he's got the Italian. I mean, he's got the Italian New Yorker thing, the New Jersey thing going on. And it's kind of cool. And like I said, it's just cool. And like I said, because I was born in Jersey, so I don't really know anything about like the gangs and stuff that are involved there. But like when I watched the show, I was like, oh yeah, oh God, I used to live in Jersey. I don't know if I should be proud of that or not, but I was born there. I used to live there, whatever. But anyway, such a good show. There's so much going on, and like Tony Soprano, he's like I said, he's a gang leader, and he's struggling, with himself. He's kind of learning new routes. Like he kind of understands that he's not a good person, and like he knows that. But throughout the show, you kind of start to realize how much he doesn't care about that. But he sees it as kind of an issue, so he ends up going to therapy. And then Dr. Malfi is the therapist, and she's got this such dry voice. Like, her voice could literally kind of put you to sleep. But, like I said, the show is just kind of, it's a big mess. And not that the writing is bad or anything like that. It's just everything that this family's going through is just like, how are they going to get out of it? How are they going to solve this? And, I need everybody. I want you to watch the show. Like I said, I wouldn't be talking about it if it wasn't worth it. But the show is really, really good. If I had to give it a rating, I'd give it a 7.5 out of 10. And like I said, there are so many characters in the show. Some of them are. Oh, it's one of those shows where if you like a character, don't get too attached to them. I'm talking to you, Game of Thrones. You did the same exact thing, and expect that video later. Because if you get attached to a character, expect them at any given point that they may die in the show. There's, of course, the biggest spoiler I can give you about this show. So, there's a lot of cigar smoking in the show, too, due to Tony Soprano. That's not the whole reason I like the show, but it's kind of cool that me and at least Tony Soprano may have one mild thing in common, and that's smoking cigars. I would not like to go around thinking I'm a piece of crap like he is, but, he's kind of a piece of crap. Like I said, when you watch the show, I know he's the main character, and then he's such a piece of crap that even throughout the show, you find yourself almost rooting against him. And throughout every season, you find yourself more and more against him. I'll give you that. But that is what the actor was signed on to do. And I think that's what made it a good show, is because we all know that Tony Soprano, even from the beginning, like the first couple episodes, we all know he's a piece of shit. And his whole gang is just a nightmare. We have his nephew Christopher and Adriana, who's his fiance or becomes his fiance in the show. They have a huge drug problem, and Tony kind of really is hard on Christopher, his nephew, like I said. And when you watch the show, you kind of find out why. And they also made a movie, and I'm not going to talk about the movie, and I don't even remember the name of the movie, but I remember watching it, and it's more about Christopher's dad. Like, that's what the story's kind of based off of. And then you kind of see young Tony in that movie too, which is kind of neat. But this is kind of like in the future, where Tony's kind of like almost like a middle-aged guy at this point, or at least going into middle age, whatever. But Christopher has a drug problem. Christopher's kind of like Tony's number one or number two, if you want to say that. There's two other characters in the show that I absolutely love. We have Silvio, and then we have the other guy. I forgot his name. Darn it. Paulie. Freaking Paulie. Oh my god. So those two were like freaking frack. Like, they were kind of like, I would say, the comic relief in the show. And I think Paulie, despite me completely forgetting his name a second ago, I think Paulie was my favorite character. If I had a second, it would of course be Silvio, because they're just kind of the goofballs. Like I said, they're the comic relief of the show. But when it comes to them being serious, they are very intimidating, and they are very serious characters. But from what I've seen, when you have the two of them in the same room together, it kind of comes across as silly, and I kind of enjoyed seeing the two characters together in the same room. Oh my god. I really like those characters. We had another character called Furio. He was kind of like the long-haired, freaking, what you call it? You could even call him like the, kind of remind me of Zorro. Like, he had the long ponytail, and he had like the Italian accent, the Italian background, everything like that. But Furio was kind of a piece of crap too, but I think throughout the show, here's another spoiler. They kind of just wrote him off the show. Furio was in Tony Soprano's gang. Furio attempts to, you could kind of say attempts to kill him, but also saves him at the same time. I guess you could say Furio kind of caught himself before he did a bad deed to Tony Soprano. And then literally when you get to, I want to say that was season 3, maybe season 4, but then when you get to the next season, Furio was completely just written off the show. And I liked Furio. I kind of liked how he was kind of like almost the muscle of the show. Like, he had no problem doing whatever Tony told him. But then, of course, Furio ends up having a thing, or has like a little crush. And actually, I don't even want to say it's a little crush. He ends up full-blown just falling in love with Tony Soprano's wife, Camilla. And, or Carmel, whatever the hell her name was. I'm pretty sure it was Carmel. But, like, my God, like, that rose a lot of issues because, again, Tony Soprano is a piece of shit who I just said cheats on his wife every episode. Furio is at least a decent enough human being to recognize that was wrong, so he kind of, like, weasels his way into Carmel's life, and then they end up kind of having like a little moment, and then she kind of rejects it and kind of like says, "Hey, I can't do this. You know, Tony would kill me. He'd kill you. Blah blah blah." He's a freaking like he's like like a gang leader. He's a crime boss. You know what I mean? Whatever. So of course, like I said, Furio, like how they wrote it in is that Furio kind of fled to Italy and just kind of like relinquished or just kind of like abolished or alienated himself from the gang, you know, so whatever. But I liked Furio's character a lot. Furio was cool. So let's talk about Carmel. She's a complicated character, and why I'm saying that is kind of like she is well aware of Tony cheating on her. But the amount of money that Tony Soprano kind of brings to the table, I think that's what kind of binds her and keeps her into the like keeps her involved with him and the whole family. And it's funny too. Like she'll be furious with him some episodes. Like, I can't believe you cheated on me, Tony. You know. And then he shows up with like a $2,000 fur coat. She's like, "Oh, I love you now, Tony." Like it's almost like she's bought. You know, you can kind of say she's bought. You know, and like out of nowhere, all the wrongings and doings that he does against her are just kind of won over by things that he provides for her or gives her as gifts. You'll notice that when you watch the show too, where it's like, damn, just like that, she's over what just happened. It's like, okay, whatever, I guess. But I'm not even. I want to talk about his kids. We have AJ, and then we have whatever her name was. God, man, I really wish I rewatched the show. But like AJ was kind of like he's Tony Soprano's son, kind of a punk ass, you know, whatever. Like he's a pain in the butt, and then his daughter is kind of like she's a bit of a brat, more of an understanding one. Like I pretty much throughout the show, like I'm pretty sure she just the entire time just hates her father, just never admits it. And the only reason why I feel she doesn't admit it because of Tony Soprano, he's able to give her just the greatest life ever, you know? But at the same time, like Tony treats all her boyfriends like absolute crap. Like there was like, and I'll admit, I've done this for, you know, a girl I was dating in the past. Like I bought her family dinner. But I didn't get rejected. I didn't get like, they all were like, "Oh, you know, thank you so much." And, you know, I will admit it is somewhat of a flex on the man side. All right. Just going to say it. But for me, I did it because I wanted to kind of just impress them. And it is like, absolutely true. And her boyfriend in the show does the same thing to Tony and his family. And Tony, I mean, just lights this kid up. And I'm talking like, just rips him a new asshole, like literally in the restaurant. The kid's like, "Oh, I bought everyone dinner." And Tony's like, "How effing dare you go around me? Like, are you thinking you're better than me?" Type stuff, whatever. Total alpha bullcrap move shit, whatever. But Tony, man, he is just a nightmare. Like, I personally would not want Tony Soprano as my dad. And what I mean by that is he's a horrible, like, father figure, you know, like, period. A provider, sure, but as a father figure, no way, man. Like he's freaking whatever. And okay, so the daughter's name is Meadow. I had to remember that. I'm glad I didn't like actually look anything up, but her name is Meadow. And like I said, she's kind of, if I had to really guess, I would say she's kind of like the most level-headed, there is no defense. Like there are some stupid things she does in this show, and what I said might contradict like that. She might. What I mean by the most level-headed, and that doesn't mean anything. That's kind of it. Like she would, if I had to guess, she's the most level-headed, even though she still has just a ton of flaws. And, you know, like I said, there's a lot of silly missions. There's a lot of serious missions. And what I mean by missions is tasks that the Tony gives this gang to do. Like there's, I think the most iconic episode is when Christopher, again his nephew, who's involved in the gang, and Paulie, they end up having to go hunt down this Russian guy. Which that was one of the things in the show that was kind of just left unanswered. Was what the hell happened to this Russian guy? They interrogated him, they kind of beat his ass, and then somehow the Russian guy escapes. And now Paulie and Christopher are kind of stuck in the middle of nowhere in sub-freezing temperatures. It's snowing and whatever. Then they make their way back to kind of like their car, and it's kind of stuck there. And then next thing you know, they're surviving off of ketchup packets, which I thought was hilarious. And they're like kind of like embracing the fact that the ketchup is absolutely delicious, despite them just being starving. But like I said, the mission itself seems serious, but then I love how they put just some light, funny, simple moments in there just to kind of like uplift the situation. And like I said, it was meant to be serious, but I found myself kind of laughing in a lot of spots, you know? And again, like I, if you've watched this show, please put in the comments section what you thought of the ending. The ending, I think, could have been a little better. Some people say it was perfect how it ended. I kind of wanted a little bit more, but I was stuck in a way where it's like I kind of don't see how they could have ended it different. I'm kind of stuck. I wish there was a different way. I'm no writer. I'm not a writer of any sitcom or any crime drama. I'm not a writer of anything. But it really kind of is a cliffhanger. And what was crazy about it is they left you with an assumption that Tony Soprano was killed. A lot of theory speculates that Furio, even though written off the show and not even in the show for the past 4 seasons or 3 seasons, whatever it was, hired a man to kill Tony. That is something I just kind of heard. I think it's not even real. It's just, you know how fan theories go. Fan theories are nuts. Like, there's also a fan theory that the Sopranos were a bunch of cannibals. I'm not diving into stupid theories like that. But if you want to go into that, there's videos on, iceberg theories and stuff like that. I don't know if you know about these iceberg theory videos, but I will admit some of them are kind of fun. Some of them are kind of stupid. I'm sure we can all agree on that if you know what I'm talking about. But yeah, if I had to give this show an honest rating, I would say a 7.5. And that is, I'm going to be legit, because there was a lot of episodes that were like, we can pick up the pace now. We can keep going. And then, like, I wouldn't want to call them filler episodes, because I think every episode is important to the show. But there were some episodes. I mean, shit, man. I mean, probably at least twice, maybe 3 times in each season, they're at a funeral for somebody who was killed or died. And I'm talking, there are a ton of funerals in this show. Oh, it went out. So that's what I get for talking a lot. But like, the thing is, the funerals, and you would think the funerals are kind of serious, but again, Tony Soprano is, like I said, like a sociopath, and just doesn't care about the thing. He's just kind of participating in the funeral. But it's still out. I'll light it in a minute. But anyway, and so here's the thing, though. Because of Tony being kind of, again, a sociopath, he goes to these funerals, and all he ends up doing is just talking business. And I thought that was funny, because, like, there's a lot of business to be done. And what's funny is, like, he'll talk mad crap about the person who died or who's in the casket, kind of saying how he owed them money and blah, blah, blah. He's only here for the family and shit like that, whatever. But there we go. Sorry about that. Yeah, I really like this cigar, and it's kind of enjoying. I definitely am adding this to my next top 5 under $10 cigar video. I got this at my local cigar shop too. It is really good. I'm not trying to get off track here, but like I said, I am trying to light this because this is delicious. And like I said, there's nothing like a good old delicious cigar to talk about Tony Soprano and his gang of, I don't want to say miscreants, but just kind of like gang of criminals. You'll notice, like I said, in the show, Tony Soprano pops out a lot of stogies, and he has a good time. He celebrates with them. He starts his day with them. He's always got some kind of cigar with him. As do I. Oh, there we go. Seriously, guys, I'm telling you, go pick one of these up. Like I said, I know I talk about movies and TV shows a lot, but man, and I have some videos all about cigars, but this is a banger. This is a banging cigar. But anyway, I have to say, I will give it a 7.5 out of 10. Like I said, it was a very, very, very good show, but I do think a lot of it did drag on, and there was a lot of filler moments, and there was a lot of things that I feel were left unanswered. And I think a lot of the things that were left unanswered could have been a crucial part of the show, or at least answered a lot of things. There was a lot of doors left open in this show. And I don't want that's a whole separate video if I did want to go into all that. But you can look that up yourself. You can even watch the show yourself and get your own interpretation. And, sometimes that's a part of the fun, is sometimes when doors are left open and the viewer itself is left to make an assumption of what happens next. I think that's cool. But sometimes I'm also a seeker of the truth, and I also want to know what went down, what happened to who, and how, whatever. But yeah, I'll say it, like, I would say this is kind of like the New Jersey Peaky Blinders show. I already told you, if you haven't watched my Peaky Blinders show, I did that, I want to say, back in 2024. And oh my God, I am so in for the Peaky Blinders movie. and it's said to come out at the end of this year. I've heard that. I've also heard it's just there's no permanent announcement though, and that's kind of what I'm waiting for. I just want a date on when this movie comes out. Let me know in the comments if you're ready for the Peaky Blinders movie. I mean, come on. See, I don't know, something about crime drama, something about gangster movies, stuff like that. Like I love Scarface, I love the Godfather stuff. I love that kind of stuff. I love those kind of movies. It's all good. And if you like the Godfather and even Scarface, you would love the Sopranos. You would love the Sopranos. Even if I would say, even if you've watched Peaky Blinders, you would probably like this show. I will say this though, when you watch Peaky Blinders and you see how organized Thomas Shelby is and his gang is, how he's so 4, maybe 5 steps ahead of his enemy at all time. I think that's kind of crazy. Tony Soprano's probably half a step ahead at all times. Like you see, sometimes a lot of his plans will flop, but then it always of course, it has to happen just so the viewer's like, oh my freaking God. But you always will see that it always works out, Tony is a very, very, very flawed human. And I'm going to take that back. Every single one of these characters is flawed. And then, it's funny, you go to his uncle, his name's Junior. Probably my least favorite character. No, I take that back. Tony Soprano's sister, I think, is my least favorite character in the show. If you've watched it, you know what I'm talking about. Tony Soprano's sister, I think, is just as terrible as he is. I guess it's just about their upbringing or whatever. But Tony Soprano's sister is just a nightmare. I personally really just dislike the character. Every time I saw her, I was like, oh. And then, of course, Tony Soprano's mother, the whiny pain in the ass. And I mean, she is the whiniest character in the show. And then, so the actress that plays her, God rest her soul, she passed away in the middle of making this show. And I'm going to talk about one specific scene that bothered me and my friend and I who were watching it together. It's the first episode in, I want to say, either season 3 or season 4, one of those, And for some reason, they decided to pull a kind of like a Star Wars with Princess Leia, where they decided, or Carrie Fisher, where they decided to CGI her face, and they only did it for one episode. And I mean, it looks really bad, and it almost looks uncanny. And when you watch it, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. Like, she looks like a floating orb head, and it just looks really bad. And when you watch it, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. You just go, ugh, it's queasy, it's eerie, but then you find out, like, literally the next episode that she dies in the show, and they had no choice but to write her off because, again, the actress who played her, forgive me, I don't know her name, but she died in real life. And so, like, I kind of thought it was okay for them to do that. It wasn't like she died off screen. They kind of had to awkwardly CGI her face into the show and then kind of give her own death in a weird way. But Tony's uncle is just as much of a jackass. His name's Junior, and he's kind of a snake too. Like, every single person betrays somebody in this show. I'm going to say that right now. Not necessarily everybody betrays Tony, but people are constantly left and right, side, everything, just betraying each other all the freaking time. All the time, people are being betrayed. Get ready for all of that. But it is, like I said, it's a crime drama. It's not meant to be some wholesome, amazing thing. It's meant to be like, what a jackass. Oh my God, how could they do that? You already get how the show goes. But like I said, guys, 7.5 out of 10 for me. Very good show. Like I said, it would probably get a solid 8 if the writing and, like, there was not so many filler episodes. But like I said, I did thoroughly enjoy this show. I think you will too. It's on, where did I watch it? I want to say I watched it on, oh my God, did I watch it on Peacock or Hulu? Whatever. If you have a Roku TV and you type in the search and you go to search and you type in The Sopranos, you'll find what we're talking about here. Very good show. Very good show. Go watch it. Please put in the comments what you thought about it. Don't forget, guys, please like and subscribe to my YouTube channel. My channel it's growing, and I got to thank all of you for this. Like, I'm actually impressed with the way things are going right now with this channel, and I'm having a blast doing this for you. I'm actually going to write up a schedule, and I'm trying to make it so it's every Tuesday that I make a video for you guys. This is kind of my slower season with the business, and that's fine with me, and I have no problem with that because it gives me more time to hang out with you guys. So please like and subscribe to my YouTube channel. Stay tuned for the next video, and always remember, YouTube, to have a fantastic day.